Well, hey, thanks all for coming. I'm Jason Mattson. I'm currently the executive director at the Lewis County Historical Museum. But I'm born and raised here in Centralia, and Yardbirds was a big part of my life the whole time of growing up. Probably from my earliest ages of going shopping for toys. I'd collect GI Joes, Transformers, go visit the paperback exchange and collect comic books. And then in my preteen years, of course, like visiting Santa, that always happened every year. And then my preteen years, I'd wander around, still collecting comic books. I bought my first cassette tape, the Stand By Me soundtrack. First girl I ever asked out was at Yardbirds. She was a checker and way too old for me, and she already had a boyfriend, but she was really nice about it. But man, it took me an hour to build up the nerve. But nonetheless, it was fun. And then, like in high school, my mom would drop us off, before I could drive, and we'd go see movies at Cinema 3. Always buy our school clothes there. And so, it was just a big part of everyone's community. If you probably knew somebody that worked there or was related to somebody who worked there at some time. And so, it closed in '95. That was the year I graduated. And that was a sad day. Luckily, I was out of town. I purposely did that because I knew it would be pretty sad to see Yardbirds close. And Yardbirds was kind of the shell of what it was after it closed. We did swap meets, and things slowly built back up. They still had the shopping cart grocery store, some vendors there, and they tried to put on events and car shows and things like that. But and then later in the 2000s, I was working across the street at the Olympic Club, and a friend of mine picked this up for me, Yardbirds Frisbee. And this started my memorabilia collection. They put the Yardbird on so many things. It was matchbooks, playing cards, obviously Frisbees. They had birthday cards they'd send out to customers, things like that. And so the old big bird that is still there, it originally was a helicopter hangar. And so it was built basically hollow, almost like an upside down ship. It had, the crew there were really ingenuitive. They created their own plywood beams and made it all hollow so a helicopter could slide in. And it was pretty amazing. But after years of neglect, and it started, losing paint, and the back end of it started falling down. So I talked to the owner and convinced him it would be a good idea to try and raise funds to get it fixed. And let's see here. Oh yeah, so here's a photo of it with a helicopter going in. So. Of course, here it is how it originally looked when it was the helicopter hangar. Yeah, so this is about the mid-'70s they created this. And so, we had it pretty well restored, looked really good, new fiberglass, new paint and everything, and then new owners came along, and I didn't like them so much, so I kind of, separated myself from the store a bit, so it's kind of looking a little shabby right now, but the current owner, Doug LeMay, he's the son of the LeMay Garbage Company. They're currently working on it to get it, the building fixed up. They just put a new roof on it. They're planning on repainting it, doing a lot of work to get it back up to snuff and getting some tenants in it again. And fixing up the big bird is on the list, so it's pretty cool. They did some unusual things, Yardbirds. They had they would host bowling leagues, sporting events. They made these little trophies for a 4-splitter award. You see these a lot, little furry Yardbirds. And then, let's see, as far as pop culture goes, things like this is an Olympia band, Fits of Depression. They borrowed the Yardbird for their album cover. And this has been seen as far away as New York and Japan. So, the Yardbird's global. And so it's just pretty great. It's inspired art. Local guy made this. This is all an ink pen. He made his own skateboard parody with the Yardbird. And I know of at least, probably more, but at least 20 people with Yardbirds tattoos. I'm one of them. So it's so yeah. So I don't know. I can definitely say Yardbirds has been a huge influence on this area. Not just Centralia, Chehalis, Olympia. It goes on and on. There was a small store in Shelton for a while, and some of the Yardbird statues still exist. We've got one at the Lewis County Historical Museum. It was like a later one. It was built in the mid 80s, and some great photos of it, like when the seagulls came to visit Yardbirds. And so yeah, they're all gathered around it and stuff. It's pretty fun. This particular bird, when it was still a Yardbirds, it took a fall and broke its beak. So a couple years back, I did a bunch of work and restored the beak. And so yeah, come see it at the Lewis County Historical Museum. It's right out front. You don't even have to pay to see it. So, and then inside we've got a lot of memorabilia, a lot of my collection that I've donated back to the museum, and gosh, probably the biggest collection we'll ever see of Yardbird stuff. We even have the orange globes that used to be along the roof line, and at least all that exist anymore. So yeah, but anyone have any questions before we start the movie? Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing about Yardbirds?
The weirdest thing, man, there were some weird things. Yep, there were monkeys. A little before my time, but yeah, definitely there were monkeys, all kinds of, you'll see them in the movie, like raccoons, skunks. I remember back in the 90s, they had caimans in the pet department, like a whole bunch of, sad goldfish, but they had always had free puppies. Yep, and people told me that the best dogs they ever had were from Yardbirds, so it's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, it started in 1947. Yep. So soon after the war, and yeah, basically they started out selling more surplus, and that's what sprung them into fame, and started with surplus, added toys and home goods and everything. It just became like Walmart is now, but just fun and quirky. Just a so much better version of it. So yeah.
When was it rebuilt? This last time?
So the newest store was, they got it opened in 71. I think they started around 69 to the building construction.
Well,
so
it burned down or something, didn't it?
Not the building itself. The
Yardbird.
Oh, the big bird, yeah. So yeah, there was the 60-foot tall Yardbird that you could drive between its legs. That one, they started construction on it about the time they started the new store, so around 69, 70. And then yeah, it burned down in 76 after a fellow's car backfired under it. He had like a souped-up Camaro with big old carburetors sticking out the front hood, and he decided to park under it to work on his car, and somehow or another, flames shot out of the carburetors and went up the leg, and yeah, it burned in 12 minutes. So.
See, I can remember when it was built like it is now.
Oh,
What year was that?
Well, then this bird that's still there, it was built in 76 from what I understand. And then when the big one burned, they moved this one over to take its place, basically. So, yeah. So, yeah.
I was curious, are they going to keep calling the Yardbirds?
From what I understand, he does want to keep the name. Yeah, so I'm hoping that's the case. Yeah. So, yeah.
Why are people protective of the image of Yardbirds? It seems to be a little different than any other thing. If a Walmart closed, no one would care.
Right. No, I think everyone just has like a personal connection to it. A lot of good memories that revolve around the store. Whether being a kid or working there or something, yeah, everyone just has a cool connection to it. So, and even like some of the two newest tattoos I have are from a young lady who's probably like 29, 30. She was barely around when the store was as it is now. So, yeah.
I think one of the things was the reason people are so protective. It's our first major mall type store in this county.
Oh, it definitely was. Yeah. It definitely predated like the Lewis County Mall, and
You find everything there.
you could, yeah.
Free puppies.
Yep, and free puppies. Yep. So, yeah, no. Indeed, yeah. No, that's why it's special to me. Yeah, growing up there and just a lot of memories and fun times. So, yeah.
Hey, Jason, did it start originally where some
Yeah, so, well, it actually started on U Street here in Centralia. It was just like a small garage, and then they outgrew it and then moved into where Sunbirds is now, or Chehalis Outfitters. So, and then, let's see, then after they built the new store, Rich Gillingham just kind of gave the ownership of that building to his kids, and then they started Sunbirds. So, and Sunbirds was obviously a lot similar to Yardbirds, just not quite as quirky, but yeah. Yeah.
Do you think the quirkiness is what stands out about it? I mean, you have a guy riding around in a unicycle as the owner.
Right, no, I think that added a lot to the appeal. I mean, the fact that they would, use this quirky character as their mascot said a lot. And, the statues are ugly, but they catch your attention. It's great advertising. Like they mentioned in the film, the statues were placed from like California to Idaho to, all along the coast. I think that sticks with people and, makes them curious about what's this crazy place, So, yeah, it was a formula that worked. And the giant yardbird that burned was ugly as heck, but, people remember and are fond of it just because, so, yeah.
Wasn't that listed one time, the big bird that the must-see if you came to Washington?
Yeah, well, like the current bird, it's won the best roadside attraction a bunch of years, and that was pretty fun. So yeah, it's definitely on the list of touristy things to see. So yeah. Huh?
In terms of the Lewis County Historical Museum, you have a lot of people come in specifically just to see the Yardbirds display?
We do get some, yeah, and then the Yardbird statue we have, it works in the same way it did before. It catches people's eyes. So I get a lot of people that'll come and pose in front of it and stuff. So it was definitely well worth, getting it for the museum.
What's the most interesting story you've heard from somebody, like they met at Yardbirds and they got married? I mean, is there anything like that?
Actually, yeah, I've heard a few stories of folks who've met when they worked there and fell in love and still married to this day. So, and in fact, there was a wedding at Shop and Cart. Do you remember hearing that? Somebody, I think they went into labor and maybe gave birth there. So it's pretty, yeah, lots of crazy stuff have happened.
It's not just selling monkeys, it's also delivering babies?
Yep, apparently. So yeah, it's pretty impressive. And being around so long and such a big part of the community, so many people are there, and yeah, crazy stuff's going to happen. So.
What, just to kind of sum up, what's the thing that we should all kind of think about when we're watching this documentary?
I guess, yeah, enjoy the nostalgia and the local connection it had to everyone. So, because you'll hear a lot of great stories and learn a lot from it. I remember the first time I saw it, and I thought I was the big Yardbird historian. I learned a lot from watching this. So, no, yeah, just enjoy the nostalgia of it, and realize that, these two guys' crazy idea worked out to, really affect a huge community. So.